and today we are going to talk about 8 reasons not to live in Japan. Although Japan is a beautiful country and fascinating, it might be a perfect fit for everyone. So today we're going to dive into this. Hello everyone, welcome back to lifedaki. My name is Rodri, if you don't know me yet. So let's dive in. The reason number one that maybe you don't want to live in Japan has to do with the high cost of living. So living in Japan can be expensive, especially if you want to live in big cities like Tokyo. Talking about housing, food, transportation, these can eat quickly up your budget. For you to have an idea, in year 2012, when I came here with my wife on vacation, we went to Tokyo and spent a night at the hair sister studio in an area called Itabashi. You know that the width of that studio was about 180 centimeters, and maybe the length was about 4.5 meters. You know how much it cost per month? 700 USD. Can you imagine that? 700 US per month. Now imagine if you come here with the wife or husband and children. So maybe you want to say, okay, I'm gonna live in outskirts of Tokyo. Then you must think about the transportation cost. This actually can be really expensive. So the reason number one is the high cost of living. Don't forget about that. The reason number two has to do with intense working culture here. So the work culture here is really demanding. If you think about long hours, overtime, strict expectations are the norm here. For example, you are expecting to most of factories in office, you are expecting to work 2, 3, 4 hours of overtime. Women can get pregnant and sooner or later they will be absent from the work. But this is not seen in a positive eye. You can't leave the office without the big boss leaving the office. Can you imagine that? So working culture here is really tough. If you are used to a laid-back kind of work environment, this kind of environment can be really demanding, overwhelming for you. So it doesn't mean you cannot do it, cannot survive. You can, but this is something you have to really think about, the intense working culture here. The third reason you can think about is a language barrier. Although Japan is a modern country, English is not widely spoken everywhere. Maybe you want to live in outside of big cities, but think about navigating daily life. Talking about shopping, you will see it's not easy. You can't say the difference between a toothpaste and a body lotion because it's all written in Japanese. Kanji, katakana, hiragana. Think about visiting a dog. It's a very bureaucratic country and there are a lot of paper to fill out. Who's gonna fill up that paper for you in Japanese? So language can be a big barrier if you want to live in Japan. So this is the third thing you want to talk about or think about before you move to Japan. The other reason not to live in Japan has to do with homesickness and difficulty making friends. Living far from friends and family members, this can be emotionally tough. And forming deep connection with Japanese people can be really tough. Though they are welcoming and polite, due to culture difference and language barrier, building a friendship with Japanese can take time, it can be tough. So this will make you feel lonely, will make you feel homesick. Now, if you come with your wife, husband, or children, you won't experience this. But then remember, homesickness and difficulty making friends can be emotionally tough and can take a big toll on your decisions. The other reason that makes difficult move has to do with difficulty finding apartment for non-Japanese people. Yes, you will find it very surprising, so hard to find apartment for non-Japanese people. Why is that? Because the landlords here, they are hesitant to rent apartment or a house for a foreigner. Why? Maybe they think when you have no money to pay them, you will run away. So they will demand for you to give them a guarantee. And this guarantor must be a Japanese or at least permanent residency. So you will find it very price. Good for tourists when they come here, but moving here, whenever you want to move to one place to other, doesn't matter what real estate you look for, it's gonna be really tough for you to find an apartment or a house. So remember that. The other reason not to move Japan has to do with the ability to have a pet. So if you are an animal lover, you'll find it so hard to have a pet here in Japan. Why is that? Because many houses or apartments, they don't allow to have pets. And if they do, they have strict rules and the renting are really high. So if you're an animal lover, this will be really a tough situation for you. So think about it as well. The other reason to think about is a natural disaster. You know, Japan is a country prone to earthquake, tsunami, and typhoon. So the tough part probably will be thinking about getting emergency kits, and you must think about it every single year. You must check your medicine validity, so on and so forth. So, and whenever you want to move in Japan, let's say you want to move from one state to another, you always must know your emergency escape route. Of course, the government gives for everybody, but you must remember it. Even at your work, you must know how to escape in case of emergency. So it's quite tough, this situation for some people. It can be stressful and overwhelming. If this is not a problem for you, then we are good to go. So the last but not least, it has to do with the hospital and clinics here in Japan. The hospital and the clinic here in Japan, they close on national holidays, Saturdays, Sundays, and also from 5 p.m. up to next day, 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So in case you have diarrhea, you have a fever, can't see a doctor during this period that I just mentioned here. But of course, they have a drugstore where you can go buy your tablets, or some of them have pharmacies where they can assist. But of course, if you are really in big trouble, you can call the emergency line and they can arrange for you ambulance that can take you to some or very few, not some, very few or one, depending on the size of the city. One hospital, general hospital, is open for emergency situation. So this is one of the things that you have also to take into consideration in case you want to move to Japan. All right, to conclude, as you know, Japan is a modern country, beautiful, fascinating, but it also has got its own challenges. And decide to come here, it's up to you. Take into consideration all this information, positive and negative, weigh up and find the solution for yourself. Well, if you find helpful this episode, give it a thumb up, give it a like, share with your friends, subscribe, so the channel may grow and we continue to produce more topics like this for people like you. Thank you very much and see you in the next episode. Cheers.